or Leora is right. Boaz, what does it say in the Sanskrit?
That which has no eye, that which has no...
That which, yeah. So it could refer to the person, it could also refer to the mind.
So whatever it is that has no...
Yes.
mind,
Yes.
mind and
Right, okay. So maybe it would be better to say that which does not hold onto eye and mind, which could refer to the person. This keeps falling over. That it could refer to the person and it could refer to the mind. Yeah, so maybe that is better than he, because he, you're too specific. Okay.
Does not hold to.
That which does not hold onto eye and mind does not exist either. Whoever sees one, or whoever sees that which does not hold onto eye and mind, does not see. So whoever sees that which does not hold onto eye and mind as existing inherently, does not see things as they really are. So whoever sees does not see. This expression of like whoever sees, it means like whoever holds on to phenomena existing inherently does not see them correctly. Does that make sense? So why do we see whoever sees does not see? Because usually when we see things, we always exaggerate what's there. Okay, so just by seeing, just by perceiving something, we perceive things as truly there. So we don't see how things really exist. Does that make sense? Okay, great. So that's saying refutation. Refutation of, we refute here even that which realizes selflessness, even that itself doesn't exist truly, doesn't exist inherently, which is much harder. So as Leora says correctly, we have a sense, okay, I can realize that the I doesn't exist inherently, but the mind that realizes that must really exist. That's not the case, neither true for the person nor for the mind that perceives that. Okay. And what is the goal of realizing selflessness? That's explained in verse 4. When thoughts of self and mind are eliminated with regard to internal and external objects. So internal means mind and body. External means my family, my car, my house, my etc. When that is eliminated, I use the word appropriation, but actually grasping is better. It's a little bit difficult. The word in Tibetan, and I suppose also in Sanskrit, and Boaz, correct me if I'm wrong, the word can sometimes just mean taking on a mind and body. Like appropriation, as in like when you die, then your mental consciousness takes on a new body. In Tibetan it's like lemba, nyawa lemba, as in like taking. But then it can also be this extreme version of grasping. It's also lemba. Nyawa lemba, as in like craving gives rise to grasping. And depending on the context, in English you have to use a different word. What is it in Sanskrit? Yes, but it has also right, it can be the extreme version and it can be the normal version. And here I use the word grasping, and I used the word appropriation, but that was wrong, because in this context he has this extreme grasping, that seizes. It's not just taking a life, because even the bodhisattva, once they've overcome grasping, they can still take a life. They're still like taking a life. Although the taking of life here is usually taking a life as a result of karma and afflictions. But it's still used in a slightly different sense. Okay? Alright, so grasping ceases. By eliminating this, birth is eliminated. So going back to the 12 links, remember? No grasping, no rebirth. In samsara, of course. Gal specified that. Where is he? He's gone. He went to the bathroom. Okay, so as Gal, he also said like rebirth. It sounds like if you're reborn, like if he went to the bathroom. So Gal, can you hear me? Sorry, his name is No, not him. Nir. Oh, sorry. Oh, Gal. Where's Nir?
In the bathroom.
Oh, there's another bathroom. Okay. All right. Anyway.
Okay, what's going on there?
I draw you all the people with all their names, all the things.
Oh, I'm sure it would look beautiful with her talent for design. Okay. Now, regarding this, so by eliminating this birth is eliminated, so only samsaric birth is eliminated. It's not like you go out of existence. That would be scary. Nir, right? Nir had a point there when he said, like, what? You're eliminating that? What? I've got nothing left. He's got a good point there. So, of course, there's something there. It's just not that uncontrolled rebirth, which actually gives us a lot of grief. Now, that is gone. Okay, so that's the goal of realizing selflessness. Eliminating rebirth, basically. That's the final goal. I guess uncontrolled rebirth, not going out of existence.
So there will always be existence.
Yes, of course. There'll always be a nirvanic existence.
Yeah.
Still go on, yes. No way consciousness can be discontinued.
So we're
endlessly round, but endlessly happy. Endlessly satisfied, and then love and compassion arise, and then you set out to be of benefit to all sentient beings.
And there's no way back, by the way, from nirvana to samsara.
No, it's kind of like, oh, I changed my mind. Samsara was kind of nicer.
There's a
Challenging,
signpost.
more challenging.
Yeah, it was more challenging actually. It's really boring, all this blissfulness and
So
satisfaction.
there is still experiences.
Yes.
And the experiences are like these love, mostly love and compassion, and for the sakes of other beings.
Yes, very nice.
So
Very
that's,
good. Yeah, that's exactly it. So there's still experience, of course, but now the selfish, the exaggerated selfishness, etc., now these states of mind, they're gone. All right. Now, verse number 5, that's most important. One of the most important ones. His Holiness cites it all the time, again and again. Number 5. Through eliminating karma and afflictions, there's liberation. What is is it liberation, boss? The last word? Is it the first syllable of liberation, or is it the first syllable? Does it mean end? Through elimination, karma and affliction. Through eliminate. Yeah. Liberation. Okay, it's the same. Through eliminating karma and affliction, there's liberation. Karma and affliction come from conceptual thought. These come from mental fabrication. Fabrication ceases through emptiness. Very important verse, because it tells you so much. And it can also mean fabrication ceases within emptiness. In Sanskrit, well, Boaz, correct me if I'm right, but His Holiness always mentions it, that in Sanskrit you could translate fabrication ceases through emptiness or within emptiness. Okay.
Sanskrit is within.
It's within in Sanskrit. Oh, but according to Kundalama Rinpoche, it can be both. It can be interpreted in both ways.
Well, it can be interpreted in any way you want. But what it says, it's no continuity.
Okay. Somehow he felt like both would work, but never mind. I mean, there's maybe different ways of looking at it. But the point is, so here in the Tibetan they use the fabrication ceases through, but both like within also, as Boaz says, it means also within. Means within. So I explain this. Through eliminating karma and affliction, there's liberation. If we eliminate karma and afflictions, sure, there's liberation. But where do karma and afflictions come from? Where do these afflictive emotions, where do these afflictive views come from? Conceptual thought, Conceptual thought doesn't just mean any good old conceptual thought. It means exaggerating. It's the inappropriate attitude. That's the word that is usually used. But inappropriate, well, the afflictions are inappropriate, so it doesn't tell us that much. I sometimes use the word the exaggerating attitude, but again, all of our minds that are misperceptions, they exaggerate to some degree. Most of them. So most of them exaggerate. The mind that perceives the I, that wrong view, that it exaggerates. It sees it as the I as more concrete as it is. And what did I say before? Then there is a sense of the I and mine are more important. I, and in particular my happiness, are more important. There's this mind that exaggerates the importance of I and mine, or my happiness, which then gives rise to attachment. Again, it exaggerates the importance of I and mine, attachment to the I. It exaggerates the importance of I and mine, exaggerates those two, and is attached to them. In fact, before every afflictive emotion, anger, jealousy, these are afflictive emotions, you always have an exaggerating mind that exaggerates the beauty of something or the negative qualities of something, and then grows this exaggerating attitude, which then gives rise to an emotional response, which is anger or jealousy, etc. And this is described as conceptual thoughts. So karma and afflictions, they are basically triggered by an exaggerated view of reality. And here not talking about the root ignorance, but just exaggerating. So based on the root ignorance, we exaggerate all the time. See ourselves as more important, as others as less important, etc. So these come from mental fabrication, fabricating reality in a way in which it's not possible. So the underlying root. And fabrication, that fabrication ceases through emptiness. This word fabrication, you already asked yesterday, right? Or asked yesterday. He said yesterday, like, what does fabrication mean? It's a good question. Our mind fabricates this reality. It creates this kind of, based on a conventional world, it then adds more to it, fabricates it, kind of makes it more real than it is. Making an elephant from an ant or whatever, right? I mean, we have this kind of expression in like day-to-day life. Something that is not as solid as it seems, you make it really solid. That's what our mind does all the time. And it does it as a basis for all of the other misperceptions. Okay? That is described as mental fabrication. There's another word that you probably like less, another translation for this word. It's mental elaboration. Sometimes it's translated as mental elaboration. But I think mental fabrication is slightly better. Both work, but elaboration means just the Buddha teaches elaborately. But it doesn't fabricate anything. So we use the word elaborate, the Buddha's elaboration on emptiness. That seems something good. But the Buddha fabrication of emptiness, that's always something negative. So I prefer the word fabrication. It means you kind of...
Invent.
Yeah, but not just invent. Yeah, invent definitely.
Create
more than there actually is, right? Like,
This word exists in Hebrew.
it does?
Yeah, it's called lefabrek.
Le fabrique. Oh, that's... I can even understand that word.
To twist or to like come to a wrong conclusion. Wrong understanding.
Okay, so don't use it in exactly the same way you use it in Hebrew. Also in English you can't use it exactly the same way, but in this context here, to fabricate means to just add more than there is. That's what our basic misperception does. It fabricates this kind of version of reality, and then other wrong views arise, other afflictive views, and especially afflictive emotions.
So it's always adding, not
Always adding.
always adding.
Sometimes you do, like I said, most exaggerate, most wrong views. There are some wrong views that don't exaggerate. The basic wrong view always exaggerates, but it can give rise to other wrong views, which most of them exaggerate, some don't. Which one doesn't?
The nihilist, they don't exist.
Pardon?
The nihilist view?
Yeah. The view that there's no karma, the view that there's no rebirth, that would be, from a Buddhist point of view, a wrong view where you negate something that does exist, although conventionally, but saying it doesn't exist at all. That would be a nihilistic view.
The wrong views.
Pardon?
The wrong views in general.
No, wrong views can be exaggerated views. Like the view that I'm more precious than others. That's an exaggerated wrong view. So most of our wrong views are exaggerations. But every now and then, it could also lead to, like, if I don't care, I just do what I want, my actions won't have consequences. So out of this misperception of the I, we make it work that, my actions don't have consequences, never mind. And
It may also depend on your motivation. If you really fabricate something.
No, this has nothing to do with motivation here. This is an instinctive, it's like we do it automatically. It's not like, let's be a little bit ignorant today. No. It's really like, unfortunately, it'd be nice if it had to do with motivation. And sometimes we can fabricate things. She's right. But those are not the ones we need to worry about. Those are the ones we can control, those misperceptions. Right? It's just going to be all right. It's going to be all right. You just want it to be all right, and then you kind of make yourself believe it's true. or you want this, like a good example would be, I really want to be with this person, and I kind of imagine in my mind they have these qualities which they don't have, and I kind of know it's not true, but I still like to think they do have them. But that is very coarse. But we don't need to worry about them. They're easy to overcome. We need to worry about the ones that arise without any motivation. They just come.
Should we take a break? Beautiful words in Sanskrit.
Please.
It says one of the beautiful words in Sanskrit is prapancha.
Prapancha, yeah.
Prapancha has the sound of popcorn.
Ah.
That's how it works. You know? So it's like you take a cup of popcorn, it's like a pop-up.
The thing with the popcorn is your own invasion. It's not in the text, right? Yeah, pancha. Okay, so prapancha, so you can get a sense of like things popping up in your own mind. Okay, great. That's a nice way of remembering it. And I know we have to take a break. I was going to get around it, but sorry.
The conceptual thought. The second line, is Nanto. You say this is the source for common affliction, and then this the explanation.
Wait, let me just make sure. You have the Tibetan right there? Or what did you say? What did you say about the... Ale, leda nyomono, leda nyombo sebeta, leda nyomo namdo le. Yeah, namdo. Yeah.
You said it is conceptual thought, but then you say other way to...
Okay, actually namdo has the word tokpa, which means conceptual mind, and then namdo. It's a little bit difficult in the ordinary kind of the way it's used. Number tokpa just means conceptual mind. You just add a syllable, number tokpa, or word that makes it a little bit stronger. So whether you say tokpa or number tokpa, it's just making, number just means making it, makes it a little bit stronger. It emphasizes it more. So it means actually conceptual mind. But in everyday life, when you say number tokpa, you shorten it to namdo. Namdo means superstition. It can also mean superstition. So here the word could mean superstition, but to say superstition in this context is ridiculous. So it's definitely, depending on the context, the word nambar dopa and dopa are the same, but when you shorten, you say namdok, it's usually something, it can be in a certain context something negative. But it still means conceptual thought. So I literally translated conceptual thought. But what it refers to, according to the commentaries, so so here, karma and afflictions come from this namdo. Okay, they arise from this namdo. And what they say in the commentaries is that this namdo refers to the exaggerating attitude. Sumi namdo. Here they have the word namdo again. Sumin means inappropriate. The inappropriate thought, if you like, which is just saying not referring to the misapprehension of reality, but then have that as a basis. Like I said before, in terms of just the I is perceived as more concrete than it is. And then there is attachment to the I. But there's something in between. You don't go from a misperception of reality right away to attachment. Attachment is a mind that exaggerates the importance of its objects or the qualities of its object and is attached. But before you can have that attached quality, you must exaggerate. You exaggerate the importance of the object you're attached to. That's what this namdo here, what this exaggerating attitude does. And it's not often mentioned. It's not always mentioned. It's usually misperception, afflictions. But here it's very specifically laid out, and actually before every attachment you must have that exaggerated attitude. Before every resentment you also exaggerate the negativity of the object before you can be angry. Right? So before any emotional response, you have the basic misapprehension, of course, and then you exaggerate the positiveness, the negativeness, whatever. And that then gives rise to holding on to it, not wanting to be separate from it, craving, resentment, etc. Wanting to be separate from it. Does that make sense? So what is the namdo in... No.
It
doesn't make sense to me that mental fabrication is exaggerate attitude and
No. I didn't say that. Karma and afflictions come from conceptual thought.
which is exaggerated attitude.
These come from the root, mental fabrication, which here means the basic misapprehension of reality.
So it's not.
It's interesting that the word used here for
Yes,
Nanto
please.
is not the usual word is vikalpa. That's the conceptual thought. Here it's vikalpa. Vikalpa means something that has to do more with imagination and conceptual thought.
Yes. So it would be the same in Tibetan, where strictly speaking, number doba means conceptual mind, but when you say namto, it's superstition. So I guess that's also similar in Tibetan.
Vitarka, the usual is just our any conceptual.
Yeah.
Vikalpa has something to do with the imagination.
So you have the same in the English, in the
Vitarka is a discernment. Vitarka, well, it's a different. It's just something like that.
So kind of-
any conceptual.
yeah, any kind of. So I just use the word conceptual thought because superstitious. I didn't find a better word, so I just said
Superstitious is too.
it's too strong.
It's too strong because
Yeah.
vikalpa is just a part of our everyday. It's
Yeah.
the way we understand things.
Yes,
But
yes.
It's the part where we kind of really understand.
Maybe distorted conceptual thought would be.
There's nothing negative in vikalpa. Except that
It can be
away
negative.
from- It keeps us away from ultimate truth.
Right.
It's
Okay.
not distorted. It's just the way we
Okay.
understand things.
All right, then let's leave conceptual thought. All right, great. So let's take a break, and you can still
10 minutes?
10.
No,
No, we need more. 15 minutes.
15.
And then you're gonna make it 20 minutes anyway. It's always like that.
At least 20 minutes.
No. At least 15 minutes, but try to be back as soon as you can, if that's all right. Because I still want to do the meditation.